What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Welcome to day 149 of the 365-day graphic novel review challenge. Over the last couple of days, I have talked about a couple of Flash Gordon books, and so today I wanted to segue into a book that has Flash Gordon in it, and that is King's Watch by Jeff Parker and Mark Lamming. This is a 5-issue miniseries that is basically a modern reinvention of the Defenders of the Earth cartoon from the 80s that teamed up Mandrake the Magician, the Phantom, and Flash Gordon. And this is a really awesome book. I had had this book for about a year, and a friend of mine told me that I shouldn't read this until I read Flash Gordon's Zeitgeist. I'm not really sure why he said that, because this book is not in any way connected to Flash Gordon's Zeitgeist. Zeitgeist deals with Flash, Dale, and Hans and their first trip to Mongo in 1934. It is set in and around the time period that the Flash Gordon comic strips were originally set. This book is not set in 1934. This is set in the present day. We have NASA, we have cell phones, we have modern technology that exists now appearing in this story. So this is not in any way connected to Zeitgeist. In this story, Flash Gordon, Dale, and Hans, they have not been to Mongo. They don't even know what Mongo is when this story begins. So I'm not really sure why my friend told me that I shouldn't read this until I read Zeitgeist, but I did finally get around to reading this after I read Zeitgeist, and I really love this a lot. Not to make this be a 5-minute dissing session against Flash Gordon's Zeitgeist, but this pretty much does everything that I wish that Flash Gordon's Zeitgeist did. What I wanted out of Zeitgeist was a modern reinterpretation of these characters, ditching the concepts that don't really work and expanding on the concepts that do work. And that's basically what this does. This takes a lot of the elements of these characters and fine-tunes them a little bit for the present day, and then does a team-up story out of them that's really fun and enjoyable. In a way, it kind of reminds me of the first Avengers movie from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Before that movie came out, I was 100% certain that it was not going to be able to adequately give every character a moment in such a short amount of time, comparatively speaking. And then it turned out to impress me, and it more or less did give every character in that movie a moment. That's kind of like what we've got going on here. Once again, Flash Gordon's Zeitgeist was 10 issues long, and in those 10 issues, 2 characters get a moment. Hans Zarkov gets his own issue where we kind of get to find out a little bit about him, and then the bad guy Clytus, or Cletus, however you say his name, he gets an issue where we kind of get to find out a little bit about him. So 2 issues, 2 characters in the span of 10 issues actually get a little bit of character development in that book. Now compare Zeitgeist to King's Watch, which is a 5-issue miniseries, and every single character in this book gets a moment. I would say the one character here who doesn't really get a whole lot of development is a tribal chieftain named Karma, and she's a minor character. She's not one of the main leads, but out of everyone in this book, I would say that she is the one who gets the least amount of development. And if there is a spin-off for the Phantom coming out of this miniseries, I would assume that she would get quite a bit more development, and she would get quite a bit more to do in that spin-off. I don't know if there's a spin-off of this miniseries. I would like there to be. I really like King's Watch so much more than I like Flash Gordon's Zeitgeist. I would really love to see Dynamite Comics build an entire pulp revival universe out of this miniseries. Just do an ongoing Flash Gordon series based off of this. Do a Mandrake the Magician based off of this. Do a Phantom based off of this. I would really love to see that. I don't know if that's exactly what they have planned. I know that they did a sequel to this called King's Cross, so I don't know if that is part of a larger universe or if it's just these minis involving these characters that's part of this little shared universe, but I really love this, and I think if you are not very familiar with any of these characters and you would like to be, I think this is a really good taste for what you could expect from each of these characters. This gives you a good idea of what Flash Gordon is like and what the Phantom is like. Now, I don't know anything about Mandrake the Magician. Out of the 3 characters in this book, he is the one that I know the least about. Jeff Parker, the guy who wrote this, he said that he wrote Mandrake to be a little bit like Doctor Strange, and I can kind of see that. Even if you take away the fact that both of those guys are magic users, I can see a little bit of the characteristics of Stephen Strange in Mandrake the Magician. So I kind of like this character, and I would like to see more with Mandrake, even though I've never read anything with Mandrake before this book. So I think this would be a good jumping on point if you are interested in getting into these older characters from the 30s. I think that it's a very good introduction to all these characters, and it's also a very good story featuring all these characters. So those are my very positive, very highly recommended thoughts on King's Watch by Jeff Parker and Mark Lamming from Dynamite Comics. I hope that you guys liked this video, and if you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with a different video. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.